What makes a person unshakable isn't the absence of storms, it's their response to the thunder. That day in front of that mirror, I made a decision that would transform my entire existence. I decided that my circumstances would no longer define my destiny. And that's exactly what I'm here to share with you today. Being unshakable isn't about never feeling fear. It's about understanding that fear is simply evidence that you're about to do something extraordinary. When you're facing your toughest moments, that's precisely when your greatest potential is ready to emerge. I've traveled across continents, spoken to thousands of people. And do you know what I've discovered? The people who achieve greatness aren't those who never face difficulties. They're the ones who understand that difficulty is the soil where their greatness grows. Think about that for a moment. Every challenge you're facing right now is actually preparing you for your next level of achievement. Some of you might be sitting there thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You don't know what I'm going through. And you're absolutely right. I don't know your specific situation. But what I do know is this. The same power that exists in every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every person who has ever transformed their life, that exact same power exists within you right now. Being unshakable isn't a destination, it's a decision. It's a moment-by-moment choice to stand firm when everything around you is suggesting you should fall. It's about understanding that your potential isn't determined by your problems, but by your response to those problems. When you understand who you truly are, when you grasp the magnitude of the potentials within you, external circumstances lose their power over your internal stability. That's what being unshakable means. It's not about being unmovable. It's about being unstoppable. I want you to understand something fundamental. Your current situation is not your final destination. The challenges you're facing today are not your life sentence, they're your life setup. They're preparing you for something greater than you've ever imagined. Your time of testing is your time of testimony. Your moment of trial is your moment of triumph. And right now, in this very moment, you're about to discover how to tap into a power that will make you truly unshakable in every area of your life. Every human being was born with a seed of greatness. But most people live their entire lives never discovering this truth. You're sitting here right now. And inside of you is a power so magnificent that if you truly understood it, you would never doubt yourself again. People spend years chasing achievements, collecting degrees, accumulating wealth, but they're searching outside for what can only be found within. I'm talking about something deeper than success. I'm talking about significance. Years ago, I met a young woman who had everything society said should make her happy: the career, the house, the status. But she was miserable. Why? Because she was living someone else's definition of success. She had never discovered her true nature. One day she looked in the mirror and asked herself, who am I really? That question began a journey that transformed her entire life. Most people are like fish swimming in the ocean, searching for water. They're looking everywhere for what they're already swimming in. Your potential, your power, your purpose is not something you need to acquire. It's something you need to discover. It's already there. Limiting beliefs are like invisible chains. They're not real, but as long as you believe in them, they will hold you back as effectively as steel bars. I'm not educated enough. I'm too old. I don't have the right connections. These are all lies that society has programmed into your thinking. Your true nature is unlimited. Your true nature is unstoppable. Your true nature is unshakable. But you have to make a decision right now to break free from these mental prisons. The only person who can limit you is you. The only person who can stop you is you. The only person who can change this is you. I remember working with a man who believed he was too old to start a new career. He was 45 years old and had spent 20 years in a job he hated. Do you know what happened when he finally understood his true nature? He realized age wasn't his problem, his thinking was. Today, he's running a successful business that's impacting thousands of lives. He didn't become a different person. He just discovered who he really was. Your capacity for greatness isn't determined by your background, your bank account, or your education. It's determined by your willingness to embrace your true nature. When you understand this, really understand this, everything changes. The problems don't disappear, but your power to handle them multiplies exponentially. An eagle raised among chickens, it might spend its whole life walking around the barnyards, pecking at seeds, never realizing it was born to soar above the mountains. That's what happens when you don't understand your true nature. You settle for scratching in the dirt when you were meant to rule the skies. The power of self-discovery is not just about finding out what you can do. It's about understanding who you are. When you align with your true nature, you stop trying to copy others and start creating your own path. You stop asking for permission to be great and start walking in your greatness. This journey we're on isn't about becoming something new. It's about unveiling what was always there. It's about removing the layers of doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that have covered your true nature. Because once you understand who you really are, being unshakable becomes your natural state. You're going to discover exactly how to tap into this power that's been within you all along. You're going to learn how to stand firm when everything around you is shaking. Because that's what happens when you truly understand and embrace your authentic nature. I want to talk to you about something that's going to revolutionize your understanding of stability in turbulent times. When you grasp these principles of unshakability, you'll never view challenges the same way again. Purpose isn't just something you do, it's the very reason you exist. When you understand your purpose, it becomes your anchor in the storm. I'm not talking about your job, your career, or your profession. I'm talking about something so fundamental that when you discover it, it makes you hurricane-proof. I remember sitting with a successful businessman in his office. He had everything money could buy. The fancy car, the big house, the expensive suits. But when market conditions changed and his business faced challenges, he fell apart completely. Why? Because he had built his life on shifting sand. His identity was tied to what he had, not who he was. His anchor was his bank account, not his purpose. When you're anchored in purpose, you can lose everything and still stand strong. Purpose gives you the power to start over, the strength to persist, and the courage to face any storm. It's like a mighty oak tree with roots that go deep into soil. When the winds come, it might sway, but it doesn't break. Vision is not just about seeing, it's about seeing beyond. In the midst of difficulty, your vision becomes your compass. When everything around you is dark, vision becomes your light. But here's the key. Vision must be bigger than your current circumstances. I once met a young entrepreneur who started her business in her garage every day. People told her she was crazy. The economy was bad, the competition was fierce, and she had no experience. But she had something more powerful than experience. She had vision. She could see what others couldn't see. Today, her company employs hundreds of people. Why? Because she refused to let her present circumstances bind her to future possibilities. Your vision must be so clear that it becomes more real to you than your current reality. When you're going through tough times, your vision should be the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you think about at night. Vision isn't just about having a dream. It's about having a dream that has you. But here's where many people miss it. They think unshakability is about being hard, being tough, being unmovable. No, true unshakability comes from building the right mindset. Your mindset is like the foundation of a building if it's weak. Everything built on it will eventually collapse. Circumstances don't determine your outcome. Your response to circumstances determines your outcome. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your mindset. I want you to think about bamboo for a moment. During a storm, bamboo bends but doesn't break. Why? Because its strength isn't in its rigidity. It's in its flexibility. That's what an unshakable mindset looks like. You're not trying to be unmovable. You're learning to be unbreakable. Your mindset must be built on principles that don't change with circumstances. When the economy changes, these principles don't change. When people disappoint you, these principles don't change. When life throws you a curveball, these principles don't change. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked for. The pressure you're feeling isn't meant to break you, it's meant to strengthen you. The challenges you're facing aren't your enemies, they're your trainers. I remember working with an athlete who was recovering from a serious injury. Every day of rehabilitation was painful. Every session was a battle. But do you know what kept him going? He understood that his current pain was preparing for his future performance. That's an unshakable mindset. Your mindset must be so strong that when doubt comes, and it will come, it finds no place to rest. When fear knocks on your door, and it will knock your mindset, sends it away empty-handed. When discouragement tries to set up residence in your mind, and it will try, your mindset serves it an eviction notice. You're going to learn exactly how to develop this kind of mindset. Because when your purpose is clear, your vision is strong, and your mindset is unshakable, you become unstoppable. Not because the challenges disappear, but because you've developed the capacity to rise above them. Being unshakable isn't about avoiding storms, it's about learning to dance in the rain. It's about building something inside you that's stronger than anything that comes against you. And that's exactly what we're going to continue exploring as we move forward. The fact that the same fire that melts butter is the same fire that hardens steel. The difference isn't in the fire, it's in the substance. And right now, I want to talk to you about how to transform every challenge you face into an opportunity for extraordinary growth. Failure is not your enemy. In fact, failure might be the best friend you haven't learned to appreciate yet. Every so-called failure carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. The question isn't whether you'll face setbacks. The question is what you'll do with them. I remember meeting a woman who lost her job after 15 years at the same company. She came to me devastated, thinking her life was over. But here's what's interesting. That job loss became the catalyst for her greatest success. Why? Because she finally had the courage to start the business she'd been dreaming about for years. Her setback became her setup. Most people have been programmed to run from pressure. But I want you to understand something. Pressure is not your problem. Pressure is your privilege. Think about it. Why does a diamond exist? Because carbon underwent extreme pressure for an extended period. Without that pressure, it would just be a lump of coal. The pressure you're feeling right now is not meant to crush you. It's meant to create something valuable within you. The challenges you're facing aren't meant to stop you. They're meant to stretch you. Every obstacle in your path is an opportunity to develop strength you didn't know you had. I was working with a young man who faced bankruptcy in his first business venture. He was ready to quit entrepreneurship altogether. But then he understood this principle. His bankruptcy wasn't his burial. It was his birth into a new level of business wisdom. Today, he owns multiple successful companies. Why? Because he learned to transform his challenges into stepping stones. Adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away from us all but the things that cannot be torn, so that we see ourselves as we really are. When you understand this, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Let me give you a principle that will transform your life. The size of your challenges reveals your capacity. You never know what you're capable until capacity is demanded of you. The problem that's stretching you right now is actually revealing strength you didn't know you possessed. Every great success story is really a story of strong challenges. The greatest innovators didn't succeed because they never faced problems. They succeeded because they learned to see problems as opportunities. Every challenge that comes your way is really life asking you one question. Are you ready to become more than you are right now? I remember talking to a group of business leaders during a major economic downturn. While others were paralyzed by fear, one leader saw an opportunity to reinvent his entire business model. He understood that seasons of adversity often contain seeds of advancement. Today, his company is stronger than ever because he learned to transform his challenges into catalysts for innovation. Growth is never comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. That discomfort you're feeling, that's not a sign to retreat. That's a sign of expansion. That pressure you're under, that's not a sign of punishment. That's a sign of promotion. Your capacity to handle challenges doesn't diminish when problems arise. It actually expands. Every time you face a challenge and refuse to let it defeat you, you're developing muscles of resilience that will serve you for the rest of your life. You're going to discover that every challenge in your life has been strategically placed, not to stop you, but to stretch you, not to break you, but to build you, not to defeat you, but to develop you into the person you were created to be. Because when you understand how to transform challenges into opportunities, when you grasp the principle that pressure creates diamonds, when you learn to use adversity as a catalyst for growth, that's when you become truly unstoppable. That's when you become genuinely unshakable. What I'm about to share with you will revolutionize your understanding of mental strength. These 7 pillars of mental fortitude aren't just principles, they're power tools that will transform your ability to stand strong in any situation. The first pillar is self-awareness and personal truth. You cannot be mentally strong if you're living in denial about who you are. Every morning when I wake up, I look in the mirror and have an honest conversation with myself. Why? Because self-awareness is the foundation of all growth. If you don't know who you are, you'll spend your life trying to be who others want you to be. I met a man who spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder, only to realize he was leaning it against the wrong wall. Why? Because he never took the time to become aware of his true self. He was living someone else's truth. Your personal truth isn't found in other people's expectations. It's found in your authentic self. The second pillar is vision clarity and purpose alignment. Listen carefully. Vision without purpose is just a daydream. And purpose without vision is like a car without headlights. You need both. Your vision must be so clear that you can taste it, feel it, touch it in your mind. But that vision must align with your purpose or you'll end up successfully arriving at the wrong destination. Now the third pillar, mental discipline and emotional mastery. This is where many people miss it. They let their emotions drive their decisions. But emotions are like weather, they change constantly. You can't build a stable life on unstable emotions. Mental discipline means you do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. I remember counseling a young athlete who had all the physical talent in the world but couldn't perform under pressure. Why? Because he had never developed emotional mastery. Today, after learning to master his emotions, he's breaking records. Your emotions are meant to be your servants, not your master. The fourth pillar is strategic thinking in chaos. Anyone can think clearly when everything is calm, but can you think strategically when everything around you is falling apart? That's the test of mental fortitude. Strategic thinking means you see opportunities where others see obstacles. It means you're playing chess while others are playing checkers. Fifth, resilience through understanding. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's about understanding that every setback is setting you up for a comeback. I've seen people crumble under pressure because they didn't understand the purpose of their problems. When you understand that pressure is not your enemy but your ally, you develop true resilience. The sixth pillar is leadership of self. You cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. Leadership of self means you don't need someone standing over you to do what's right. It means you keep your commitments to yourself. It means you do what needs to be done even when no one is watching. I watched a business owner transform his company by first transforming himself. He understood that the level of his business would never exceed the level of his self-leadership. Your outer world will always be a reflection of your inner world. That's why self-leadership is crucial. And the seventh pillar, the power of preparation. Mental fortitude isn't built in the moment of challenge. It's built in the moments of preparation before the challenge comes. Think about this when you see a powerful oak tree standing strong in a storm. What you're really seeing is the result of years of root development. Preparation means you're ready before you need to be ready. It means you're developing strength before you need strength. It means you're building capacity before capacity is demanded of you. Most people fail not because they're not capable, but because they're not prepared. These 7 pillars work together. They're not independent of each other, they're interdependent. Your self-awareness feeds your vision clarity. Your mental discipline supports your strategic thinking. Your resilience strengthens your leadership of self. And your preparation enhances all of them. Some of you are facing challenges that seem overwhelming. But I want you to understand something. These challenges aren't here to destroy your mental fortitude. They're here to develop it. Every problem you face is an opportunity to strengthen these pillars. When you build your life on these 7 pillars, you become unshakable not because life stops throwing challenges your way, but because you've developed the mental fortitude to handle any challenge that comes. You become unstoppable not because obstacles disappear, but because you've built something within you that's stronger than any obstacle. You're going to discover exactly how to implement these pillars in your daily life. Because mental fortitude isn't just about surviving tough times, about thriving in them. It's about building something inside you that's stronger than anything that comes against you. Now, let me tell you something that's going to revolutionize your understanding of success. Building an unshakable foundation isn't about one big decision. It's about the small decisions you make every single day. Your daily habits are the building blocks of your destiny. I want you to think about construction for a moment. When you look at a massive skyscraper, what's the most important part? It's not the penthouse at the top, it's the foundation underneath. The part you can't see determines whether the part you can see will stand or fall. I know a man who transformed his entire life by changing one habit every 30 days. He didn't try to change everything at once. He understood that success is sequential, not simultaneous. First, he changed his morning routine, then his reading habits, then his exercise routine. Today, he's unrecognizable from the person he was 3 years ago. Why? Because he understood the power of daily habits. Your habits will either make you or break you. There's no middle ground. Every habit you have is either pushing you toward your destiny or pulling you away from it. The question isn't whether you have habits. The question is whether your habits have you. Your income will rarely exceed your personal development. Your relationships will rarely exceed your personal development. Your success will rarely exceed your personal development. Why? Because you can't give what you don't have, and you can't build what you haven't become. I remember meeting a woman who complained that her business wasn't growing. But when I asked her about her personal growth plan, she had none. She was expecting her business to grow while she remained the same. That's like expecting a garden to grow while you remain an unskilled gardener. It doesn't work that way. Personal development isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's not something you do when you have time. It's nothing you make time for because your future depends on it. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every lesson you learn is adding another brick to your unshakable foundation. They try to build their foundation alone. Listen to me, no one succeeds alone. You need a strong support system. I'm not talking about people who make you feel good. I'm talking about people who make you grow. People who challenge you, who push you, who tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. Think about a tree for a moment. The bigger it grows above ground, the deeper its roots must go underground. Those roots form a support system that keeps the tree standing in the storm. Your support system does the same thing for you. It keeps you grounded when success tries to make you arrogant. And it keeps you standing when challenges try to make you fall. Your support system should include mentors who've been where you want to go, peers who are going where you're going, and proteges who remind you to keep growing. These relationships aren't just connections, they're foundations for your growth. You're going to learn exactly how to build these 3 elements: your daily habits, your personal development plan, and your support system into a foundation that nothing can shake. Because when your foundation is strong, when your daily habits align with your destiny, when you're constantly growing and surrounded by the right people, that's when you become truly unshakable. The foundation you're building today will determine the height of your success tomorrow. The habits you're forming today will determine the harvest you reap tomorrow. The investment in yourself today will determine the impact you have tomorrow. Let me tell you something that's going to revolutionize how you apply everything we've discussed. Knowledge without application is like having an airplane without fuel. You've got the potential for flight, but you'll never leave the ground. I want to share with you real-world strategies that you can implement starting today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready today, because your life is happening right now. And the decisions you make in the next 24 hours will shape your next 24 years. Let me tell you about stability in the real world. Every morning when I wake up, I have a protocol, a series of non-negotiable actions that set the tone for my day. Before I touch my phone, before I check my messages, before I engage with the world's demands, I spend time feeding my mind and strengthening my resolve. I remember meeting a CEO who was brilliant in the boardroom but struggling in every other area of his life. Why? Because he had no personal protocol. He was responding to life instead of directing it. Today, after implementing a simple morning protocol, his entire life has transformed. He's no longer surviving his days, he's commanding them. Uncertainty is not your enemy. Indecision is. When you're faced with uncertainty, you need a decision-making framework. Here's mine. First, what's the worst that could happen? Second, can I live with that? Third, what's the best that could happen? Fourth, what's most likely to happen? Finally, what's the cost of doing nothing? Your decision should never be based on fear. Fear is a terrible advisor. Your decision should be based on principles that don't change with circumstances. When you have clear principles, you can make clear decisions even in unclear situations. Create your own personal success protocol. This isn't just a to-do list. This is your personal constitution. These are the standards you live by when nobody's watching. These are the lines you won't cross even when crossing them will be profitable. I worked with an entrepreneur who was struggling with consistency. Some days she was unstoppable. Other days she could barely get out of bed. The problem wasn't her ability, it was a lack of a personal protocol. Today, after creating and following her protocol, her business has tripled. Why? Because she brought order to her chaos. Your protocol should include your non-negotiables, the things you do every day no matter what. It should include your boundaries, what you will and won't accept in your life. It should include your priorities, the things that matter most to you. When you have these clearly defined, decision-making becomes simpler because you've already made the big decisions that guide all the smaller ones. Stability doesn't come from what's happening around you. It comes from what's happening within you. Your circumstances may be unstable, but your protocol keeps you grounded. Your environment may be chaotic, but your principles keep you centered. Every day, you should be asking yourself 3 questions. What am I feeding my mind? What am I doing with my time? Who am I becoming through my actions? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're practical tools for maintaining stability in an unstable world. I want you to understand that everything we've discussed isn't theory, it's technology for transforming your life. These aren't just ideas to think about. These are tools to use. Because being unshakable isn't about what you know, it's about what you do with what you know. Your protocol becomes your protection. Your decisions become your destiny. Your daily actions become your achievements. That's how you take everything we've discussed and turn it into real-world results. We've come to a moment of decision. Everything we've discussed today isn't just information, it's an invitation. An invitation to step into a new dimension of living, where circumstances no longer dictate your stability. We've uncovered the truth about your nature, that greatness isn't something you pursue. It's something you activate. We've discovered that your challenges aren't here to destroy you. They're here to reveal you. We've learned that pressure isn't your enemy. It's the force that transforms ordinary carbon into extraordinary diamonds. Those 7 pillars of mental fortitude we discussed, they're not just concepts, they're keys to unlocking your highest potential. Your self-awareness, your vision clarity, your mental discipline, your strategic thinking, your resilience, your self-leadership, and your preparation. These are the weapons in your arsenal facing any storm. Knowledge without action is merely entertainment. What you do with what you've heard today will determine where you'll be tomorrow. The principles we've discussed aren't meant to be admired. They're meant to be applied. I want you to make a decision right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect right now. Decide that from this moment forward, you're going to live by design, not by default. Decide that your circumstances may be unstable, but you will remain unshakable. Take everything we've discussed, your daily habits, your personal development, your support system, and turn them into your personal success protocol. Start implementing these principles today. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for someone else to validate your dreams. Being unshakable isn't a destination, it's a decision. And that decision needs to be made every single day. Every morning when you wake up, decide again. Every time you face a challenge, decide again. Every time fear tries to paralyze you, decide again. Your future is not determined by your past failures or your present circumstances. Your future is determined by the decisions you make right now. And right now, you have everything you need to begin. You have the principles, you have the strategies, you have the tools. What are you going to do with them? Because your destiny is waiting for your decision. Your greatness is waiting for your action. Your future is waiting for you to become unshakable.